Welcome to Book Bites from the Pizza Prosper Life channel. In this deep dive, we're kicking off the first of three parts dedicated to Hold Me Tight by Dr. Sue Johnson. It's a really transformative guide based on emotionally focused therapy, EFT, that helps couples build, lasting emotional bonds through 7 powerful conversations. We're so glad you're here. Now, when we think about love, a lot of us might picture it as this kind of grand, almost fluffy emotion.
Right.
Something beautiful, definitely, but maybe not as essential as, say, food or shelter. We often talk about it like it's this mysterious romantic thing that just happens or doesn't. But Dr. Johnson, with her amazing work, she really flips that on its head.
Yeah, she does.
She argues it's not just the icing on the cake, but literally the pinnacle of evolution, a compelling survival mechanism. What does that even mean for our relationships if love is that fundamental?
Well, it's a huge shift in how we look at it, isn't it?
Mm.
I mean, Dr. Johnson's saying that this drive to bond emotionally, it isn't just some nice extra. It's core to being human. It pushes us, drives us to connect really deeply with a few special people to create what she calls a safe haven from the storms of life.
Mm.
This deep emotional protection, it actually helps us navigate everything, helps us cope with just how unpredictable life is.
Mm.
So it's way beyond just mating. It's about survival on a really deep emotional level.
Okay, so this isn't just some fleeting romantic idea then. This need to emotionally attach, to find someone we can turn to and say, hold me tight, it's literally wired into our genes and our bodies.
Exactly.
It's as basic to our well-being, our survival even, as needing food or shelter or even sex. That's a pretty big claim,
Yeah.
that we need these emotional attachments to be truly healthy mentally and physically.
And there's some powerful history backing this up. Think back to 1760. There was a Spanish bishop who noticed children in foundling homes. They were fed, they had shelter, but they often just died from sadness, his words. And then fast forward to the 1930s, 40s in America. Similar tragic stories with orphans dying when they didn't get enough touch, enough emotional contact. They even came up with terms like emotional starvation and failure to thrive. Stark.
Yeah.
Incredibly stark.
And observations like these pushed researchers, like John Bowlby,
Yeah.
to really challenge the old ideas. The idea that our problems are just internal. Bowlby argued, no, they're often rooted in our actual relationships, how we, keep track of closeness, how we reach out when we're upset, how much we miss people, how much we count on them being there for us.
So Bowlby really showed how vital these real relationships are. And it's fascinating how that becomes even more critical now in our modern world, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, you read writers like Robert Putnam, his book Bowling Alone, talking about this loss of social capital, this community ties that used to hold us together. We're just more isolated now, aren't we? Most of us don't have that village, that family network right there anymore.
Right, the whole village isn't there.
So what happens? We turn to our partners, our lovers, and we ask them for all that emotional connection, that sense of belonging that maybe a whole community used to provide.
And it makes total sense that if you look at surveys today in the U.S. and Canada, people consistently rate a satisfying love relationship as their #1 goal. It ranks higher than even financial success or loving your job.
Really, number one.
#1. And Dr. Johnson puts it so well. Love isn't the icing on the cake of life. She says it's way more fundamental, a basic primary need, like oxygen or water.
Oxygen or water.
Yeah.
Wow. And the payoffs for having that secure connection, they're huge, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Studies show when we feel safely connected, we don't just understand ourselves better, we actually like ourselves more. We get more curious, more open to new things. And kind of paradoxically, we feel stronger on our own too. Connection actually fuels independence, which seems backwards, but it works.
The evidence just keeps piling up. Married folks generally live longer than single people. And some sociologists even say emotional isolation is actually a bigger health risk than smoking or high blood pressure.
Get out. More than smoking.
And we warn everyone about those, right? Plus, being in marital distress, that can increase your risk of depression tenfold. A strong, loving connection, it touches everything. Our health, our happiness.
Okay, so if love is this vital, this critical for survival, why do so many relationships hit the rocks? Why is it so hard sometimes? I mean, think about it. How many couples do you know, maybe even yourself, who just argue constantly over things like money or chores or whose family you visit for the holidays? Those seem like the big issues, right? The things on the surface. But what's really going on underneath all that fighting?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. That fighting, It's usually not about the content, the money, the chores. Most fights, Dr. Johnson argues, are actually protests over emotional disconnection.
Like,
Yeah. Underneath all that frustration and those seemingly petty arguments, partners are basically asking each other these huge, vulnerable questions, often without even realizing it. Questions like, can I count on you? Really count on you? Are you there for me? Will you respond when I need you, when I call out? Do I matter to you? Am I still valued, accepted?
so it's like they're shouting these questions, but maybe using anger or criticism instead of the actual words.
Exactly. That anger, the criticism, the demands, they're often just cries to their lovers,
Yeah.
desperate attempts to get a reaction, to shake things up, to feel that safe connection again.
But you can see how that backfires, right? Those strategies, even though they're unconscious, they just create these vicious spirals of insecurity, pushing each other further away when connection is what they desperately need.
It's such a tough dynamic. Dr. Johnson uses this great analogy. Picture lovers poised delicately on a tightrope. Now, if doubt and fear start blowing like wind, and one partner panics and maybe grabs too tight or pulls away suddenly, the whole rope starts swaying. It gets way more dangerous. To stay on that tightrope together, they have to shift with each other's moves, respond to each other's emotions. It's this constant, intuitive dance of connection.
That's a powerful image. And there's research that backs this up too, right? This focus on emotional responsiveness.
Oh, yeah. A really important study by Ted Houston found something pretty shocking at the time. It showed that the lack of emotional responsiveness rather than the level of conflict is the best predictor of how solid a marriage will be 5 years into it.
So it's not the fighting itself, it's the lack of response.
Exactly. The conflict, the big fights, they actually tend to come later. It's that feeling of emotional withdrawal, that sense of not being heard or reached. That's the real red flag early on. The silent distance is more dangerous than the shouting.
Okay, so if the real problem is this emotional disconnection, this lack of responsiveness, then a lot of the usual relationship advice kind of misses the mark, doesn't it?
It really does.
The stuff like learn better communication skills, analyze your childhood, just take time outs when you argue. Why doesn't that stuff seem to work consistently, even when people try hard?
Well, think about it. If the root issue is this deep fear, this attachment panic about losing connection, then those standard techniques, as Dr. Johnson calls them, learning problem-solving skills, digging into childhood hurts, taking time-outs, they're misguided. They don't address the core fear.
They're like putting a bandage on a broken bone.
Kind of, yeah. And research actually shows that happy couples do not talk to each other in any more skilled or insightful ways than unhappy couples. Isn't that fascinating?
Really? So it's not about being a perfect communicator.
Nope. The real difference isn't the communication skill level. It's the underlying emotional security of their bond. It's about feeling safe enough to be real, to be vulnerable.
I remember reading about one of Dr. Johnson's clients. During a huge fight, he was trying to remember points from our marriage training weekend. And he said it was like trying to read a how to pull your parachute manual when you are in free fall.
Exactly. It's a perfect analogy. You can have all the logical steps, all the techniques memorized, but when that emotional panic kicks in because the connection feels threatened, your brain isn't prioritizing polite conversation skills. It's thinking survival.
Right. Fight or flight.
Precisely. And that's why emotionally focused therapy, EFT, is so different. It doesn't just focus on the surface behaviors. It goes straight for the emotional bond itself. Tries to rewire those panic responses into feelings of secure connection.
Okay, so how does EFT approach this differently? What's its sort of core message for couples stuck in those painful cycles?
The core message of EFT is actually pretty simple but profound. It's about recognizing and, crucially, admitting that you are emotionally attached to and dependent on your partner. Much like a child depends on a parent for comfort, for safety, for reassurance.
Some people might balk at that idea of feeling dependent.
Sure, adult attachment is more reciprocal. It's more balanced than a child's. But that fundamental need for a safe haven, for a secure base you can count on, that stays the same throughout our lives. EFT works to strengthen that bond by changing how partners respond to each other in those critical moments. Those moments where they either turn towards each other or turn away.
And a key part of this is something Dr. Johnson calls ARE,
Right.
an acronym for emotional responsiveness.
Yes, ARE. It's central. It breaks down what that responsiveness actually looks like.
Okay, let's unpack that. A is for accessibility. It's asking, can I reach you?
Right.
This means like staying open to your partner even when you feel hurt or insecure yourself, and being willing to understand your own emotions so you can actually tune into theirs better. It's about choosing to stay open, right? Even when it feels scary.
Exactly. It's about being psychologically available.
Okay. Then R is for responsiveness. Can I rely on you to respond to me emotionally? This is about really tuning in, showing your partner that their feelings matter to you, that they have an impact, prioritizing their emotional needs and offering real comfort. Not just advice, but comfort.
And this kind of sensitive response, it actually calms our nervous system down. It's physically soothing.
Wow. Okay. And finally, E is for engagement. Do I know you will value me and stay close?
Yeah, this is about feeling truly seen, cherished. It's that sense of being absorbed in the connection, feeling like your partner is really with you, attracted to you, invested, knowing you belong.
ARE. Accessibility, responsiveness, engagement. That makes a lot of sense.
And understanding this ARE framework helps us see why those big emotions in distressed relationships, the anger, the withdrawal, why they often seem so irrational from the outside. But within the context of attachment, they make perfect sense. Because the potential loss of loving connection is coded by the human brain into a primal panic response.
Primal panic, like a smoke detector going off when it senses danger.
Exactly. When partners feel that connection is suddenly cut off or threatened, it feels terrifying deep down. It triggers the same survival alarms as if they were facing actual physical danger. Understanding that helps partners shift from blaming each other to having empathy for that underlying fear.
And the really hopeful part is that when partners learn how to speak their need in a way that moves their partner to respond, when they risk showing those softer sides of themselves, the fear and longing under the anger,
Yeah.
it actually creates a whole new dance. It moves them from back-to-back fighting or miles apart emotionally to being face-to-face, naked but strong. It allows them to finally reach for each other in a way that actually works, that builds connection instead of destroying it. It's about showing up vulnerably, safely.
That's precisely it. Those are the key moments of change in EFT. They're moments of secure bonding. It's when partners truly hear that underlying attachment cry, that vulnerable need in each other, and they respond with soothing, with care. And when they can do that consistently, they forge a bond that's strong enough to handle disagreements, to handle life's challenges. And that secure bond makes them stronger, not just as a couple, but as individuals too, more confident out in the world. It's really transformative.
That's a wrap for part 1 of our journey through Hold Me Tight, a really powerful foundation. In the next deep dive, we'll get into the first few of Dr. Johnson's 7 conversations and really explore how couples can actually move from that distress to connection using this powerful healing dialogue. Make sure you follow or subscribe to Pizza Prosper Life so you don't miss it. Until then, be kind to yourself and those you love.